Good morning, welcome back to On the Road Adventure. Today we are off to Glidden Motorcycles in Churston near Brixham in Devon. They're a Yamaha dealer and I want to come down and have another look at this Yamaha Tenere. They've got the new World Raid out now, which is an upgrade on the Tenere 700 that I test rode before. I have to say I wasn't a massive fan on the last one. I felt a lot of vibrations on that bike. But a lot of you guys assure me that there should have been none, so I wonder whether that used bike had some issues. So I'm curious to come down. I want to give the Tenere 700 World Raid another and fair chance. Alright, so we're here now at Glidden Motorcycles, where they've been good enough to wheel out the Tenere World Raid demo bike for me to have a go on. So a couple of differences on this bike between this one and the older one. This one has a 23 litre tank with the chill caps on the top. We've got upgraded KYB suspension. Now this bike definitely feels a bit taller to the other one. I believe it's something like 890mm seat height, but the seat has been improved. It's quite a nice, comfortable, cushy seat actually. Not too bad at all. And of course we've got the new Tft, which is fairly basic in comparison to some bikes, but I think it's got all you need. So I'm going to jump on, take it for a spin, compare it to the standard one that I rode a few weeks ago. So nice to see we got the single part Brembo brake on the back. We got, looks like two Brembo brakes up front as well on the twin discs. The classic Yamaha CP2 engine. And we've also now got this Öhlins steering damper. So your £2 has been spent well on the upgraded suspension and stuff. So at 5'7", I am right on tiptoes on this bike. This is as tall as I would want to go for sure. It is definitely a case of keeping one foot on the brake and moving over to get your left foot down. So first impressions, sitting on the bike, I feel very high up, no doubt about that. Definitely notice that the bars on this bike are much wider than the standard Tenere bars, so I do like that a lot. Nice clear TFT dash. So we have fuel gauge on display, your revs, your speed, and your average MPG. This one is currently clocking at 53 miles per gallon, but I suspect that this gets taken out and given a good thrashing as it is a demo bike. I've seen online guys claiming MPG of around 70 miles per gallon, so very impressive. That certainly makes things a lot more economical. Tenere 700, not the most powerful bike in the world. It is still Yamaha's famous CP2 engine, nice parallel twin. Only puts out about 72 horsepower, something like that. But to be honest, I think that's all you really need for everyday riding. We do now have a fully adjustable suspension on this model. We've spent a lot of money upgrading the suspension on this bike. And again, the Öhlins here for the steering damper. We also have improved wind deflection here. We have these two side deflectors and a slightly taller screen on this model, which is great. So looking at this lovely Tft display, we currently have here the average fuel now achieving 53.5, so that's gone up since I've been riding it already. So we got this little menu wheel over here, so we do have a few little things to look at. So we have the speedo. This bike has 29 miles on it now. We have your coolant temperature, 85 degrees. It is very toasty today. Air temperature, there you go, 26 degrees. You have a trip 1 and a trip 2. Switch gear, we have high and low here on the lights, flasher. We do have a rocker switch here. I believe that is for controlling your phone when it's connected. So you do have a basic phone connection on this one. You can read messages, you can you know, see who's calling, that sort of thing, but nothing exciting, no Apple CarPlay or nothing like that. It's still a fairly basic bike. We do have hazards, we have the horn. Moving over to the right, we got Yamaha start stop, your little menu switch here as well. So we do notice that we do have a cable clutch on this bike, same as the older model. I know from looking online that there's a clutch mod you can do to make the clutch travel a lot easier, but that does feel, well, it's certainly not as good as a hydraulic clutch. But having said that, if you have a problem when you're away touring, then replacing the cable is something that you know, most of us can do, so there's definitely advantages to that. No fancy riding modes for the Tenere 700 World Raid. There's your control there, just your throttle. You're doing it yourself on this one. You do have an ABS switch, you simply have on and off. So something you notice riding the Tenere is that it's a very tall bike, and I'm sat bolt upright, which is really nice straight back, but I'm looking right over the top of the cars, which is great. You got a nice field of vision with this bike. Over the road now, let's see how this is at speed. So easily enough power to reach the speed limit there. I got there just towards the end of third gear. Yeah, it's not quite covering the top of my helmet, the windscreen, so wind deflection is not particularly great there, although it's great on the legs. I've got a huge tank there pushing the wind around you. So the body and everything's great, but definitely feeling on the helmet. Plenty enough pull left in the bike at 70 miles an hour. So in my last review of the Tenere 700, I've had a used Tenere that I was riding, and I commented a lot on the vibrations of the bike. And I can't say that I'm yet feeling those vibrations on this bike. I know that this bike also now has different tyres on. These come standard with the Rally STR tyres, but it also has better suspension. I suspect maybe the one that I used before may have been tweaked by the previous owner in some way. So I've ridden a lot of bikes recently, and although this Yamaha Tenere, the World Raid, is obviously it's an upgrade on the standard one, the vibration problem has gone away. That's, you know, that seems fine on this one, and I'm loving the new screen, and the suspension feels better. But the bike still feels like a budget bike to me. Just the, you know, its finish and the way it is, and you know, and the cable clutch, and it, you know, it just still feels like it's a budget bike. But the bike is now 12 grand, something like that. So we're now, you know, you're not far off Africa Twin money and Tiger 900, and you know, a whole raft of other bikes with so many other electronics and rider aids and gadgets and gizmos and comfort. I think this is basically a big dirt bike. And so the conclusion is that if you are going to do lots and lots of off-road dirt riding, then this is probably a fantastic bike. But if you, like me, are going to be doing, you know, 90% road work in the hope of finding some country lanes and, you know, some dirt tracks, then it's not worth making these sacrifices for that moment when you get there where this bike really gets to shine. Much better to have a bike that does what you want it to do for the 90% of the time and sucks the 10% of the time when you get to the gravel road or whatever. That makes a lot more sense. Lovely bike to stand up on. Obviously that's designed for off-roading, but benefits for me around Devon is I can see over the seawall and look at these views. Look at that. Lovely place to live. a nice spot on it. Here we are then, a look at the Tenere World Raid Edition 700. So something that I'm most pleased to see on this newer bike is they finally changed those old Yamaha indicators. And we got some nice LED ones now. They look much better. So we have this huge now KYB adjustable front suspension. Loving this camo tech effect here on the black plastics, that does look nice. This bike this year comes in blue or black. Me personally, I love the look of the gloss black one. So we can see here on the World Raid Edition that we have a slightly taller windscreen, and we also have these side deflectors as well. The side deflectors did a reasonable job on the street, but that taller windscreen wasn't quite tall enough for me. In conclusion then, to riding the Tenere 700 World Raid Edition, another fantastic bike from Yamaha, there's no doubt about it. They're selling, you know, millions of these bikes, and I suspect they'll continue to do so for some time. Anyway, leave your comments down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Have you got one and where do you ride it? Subscribe to the channel if you like the reviews and the motorcycle content. Until next time, ride safe. See you on the road.